Hello, so I've decided I'm going to start doing a few more videos on YouTube. Like in the past, I've put videos on YouTube that are just demos really that I would send my clients. Nothing about my training. Try to keep it all very polished, like, hello, this is today, this is a demo, this is what we're doing. So now I'm going to start doing some videos where I sort of explain why I'm doing certain things, like because of my training. Obviously, I'm into Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. I'll do some weight stuff, do a little bit of cardio sessions, a couple of times a week I do some cardio sessions. And obviously with the jiu-jitsu side of things especially, like it often leaves my body feeling quite a lot beat up, and most of the people I speak to at training or who go to other gyms all feel the same. They've always got something now. I mean, like even right now as I'm sitting here, my shoulder and neck's hurting now from yesterday's session. My ankle's hurting, I've got a bad toe, like everything's sort of, there's always something going on. So what I wanted to do then is just share a few of the bits that I do, just stop my body falling apart. Things I do sort of help with my clients' range of motion, like particularly now I've got quite a few clients that used to like not be able to do basic things, like even just like run upstairs or go on a bike ride with their children and stuff like that without like knee, back pain, or the rest of it. And I feel like I've done a pretty good job of getting them to be able to do things from day-to-day things with like pain-free now. I'm sure they would agree as well. Now little things, like being able to go on holiday and just go on a big walk with your family and not have your knees feel like they're hurting. Like it's a big thing for a lot of people. So I know a lot of people out there are just all about, lift as much as you can, go as fast as you can, and all the rest of it. And yeah, fair play to them. That's good and stuff. But sometimes you just gotta like focus on being able to just come out of every task pain-free. Like you don't want to be doing all this stuff and just hurting all the time, and which is like the case of why I got into this in the first place. Like I started following like the Ready State, Kelly Starrett, mobility WOD back then. I'm talking about 10, 15 years ago probably. And I started getting into it because I just wanted to address some of the pain issues I was having. So that's what I'm going to try and do with this channel. I'm just going to like try and keep it sort of fluff free really. I might go off and I might waffle on sometimes and that. I do like a chat. I'm quite good at talking. I can talk for days. Might always be some bullshit sometimes, but what we're going to do is intertwine that in with some stuff that's actually useful to you. So today, although I'm kind of feel like I'm introducing the channel a little bit, we are going to address a couple of issues today. We're going to look at just sort of your ankle mobility, some things that you can do for that, and all you're going to need today. I've got a foam roller here, and I've got a kettlebell, but you don't even need one of these, but you can use a dumbbell, something like that. Sometimes just having a little bit extra weight is good just to create some pressure there. So I'm just going to move this bench out of the way, clear some space, and then we'll go from there. Okay, so as I mentioned, all I'm going to be using is a roller and a kettlebell. So what we're going to do is to look to address some movement in the ankles. Let me just chuck these shoes off, we don't need these. So what we're looking for then is, first of all, you would want like some what's called ankle dorsiflexion. So this is essentially your ability to bring your toes closer to your shin, yeah? Obviously, if the ankles don't move, when you're trying to do something like a squat, as you come down here, like your shins are going to stay quite vertical, and then that's going to make a lot of your weight shift backwards. So what we'd want is, knees don't have to come too far over the toes. They can do, depends if what you're into, but you certainly want to be able to hold this bottom squat position with the knees kind of in line with the toes there at least. Okay, so one of the things that can make this area quite stiff, sometimes this area above in the calf can be quite tight. That can stop that movement there. Okay, so we'll start off with that. We'll just look at how you would address that, and we won't make it like a follow along. I think we'll just go through the basics of the technique. Okay, so I personally, sometimes it's nice just to lean up against the wall. So when it comes to using a roller or a ball, this is what you would call like a soft tissue mobilisation. Now there's different types of mobilisations. This is just one of them. It's like a form of almost like self-massage. Obviously, you're never going to get as deep as you can into like, from a sports massage or something, but this is a lot cheaper than going and see a sports massage. But, getting a sports massage like 3 times a week or even once a week even, getting a roller, 10, 15 quid, doing some bits day to day is going to keep, help you sort of maintain and not feel so stiff all the time. So first thing we want to do then is you might find like if you come into here that you find the calf's quite sensitive, okay? So first thing we always do with a soft tissue mobilisation is desensitise the area. This is simply so that we can actually do some work in there without it hurting so much. So an easy way to do that is just to what's called contract and relax. So all you're going to do is just plonk like your leg onto there. You don't have to if you don't want the extra weight. I like a little bit more pressure through there. And all you're going to do first of all is just do some breathing. So again, this couples up nicely with some like breathing work. And you're going to breathe in through your nose, you're going to breathe out through your mouth, And all you're going to do is breathe in. And as you breathe in, you're going to use that as a cue to make your body go, the area go tense, yeah? So we tense up the area. So breathe in, tense, hold that for maybe like 3 to 5 seconds. And then what you're going to do is breathe out through your mouth and slowly relax off the muscle, okay? Now, make that slow. If it's quite quick, you know, it can be quite sudden, the feeling, and you'll get that sort of, you know, like sort of, oh, bloody hell. And that's not really going to have a relaxing effect, okay? So again, you can move slightly, like, you know, it doesn't have to be in the same spot. I would recommend you hit the same spot at least a couple of times, and then you just move around to there, do the same thing, contract and relax. And again, we can move, obviously, calf from here all the way up. We can work different areas. We can work up to the top. We can come right here, around that meaty part around the side of the leg, come into there, okay? So just try, work over, spend around 1 to 2 minutes just working over the whole calf there, especially, you know, if you've been running or something like that, this might feel particularly sensitive, okay? And then once you've done that, we're going to do what's called like a pressure wave, okay? So what we're looking for essentially is whatever you're working, this instance the calf, we're just going to be going across like that. Now, one thing we don't want is just this fast all the way across. I mean, I heard someone describe it once. You want it to be like an icebreaker, okay? So imagine you've got like, you know, you're in a ship and you want to like cross through the ice. You wouldn't go fast because you end up just on top of it, okay? So all you're going to do is just come to here nice and slow, breaking through, and just coming through there, okay? And then what you would do is you'd move that down, move on to a slightly new area, working across there. And what you'd want to do, so you desensitized it, and then what we're doing now is just like trying to push through any sort of, and it might feel like a little bit like bubble wrap sometimes. You go across, you feel like a little bit of a knot or something pop, and it just feels a bit weird. Particularly if you go into other areas, like if you do like a lacrosse ball up in your traps, it is literally just like popping bubble wrap up in your traps, depending on how mad up your traps are, but it is for me anyway. And into there, okay? Then the last thing you're going to do now is just called a little bit of flossing, which is where we start getting a little bit of movement in the ankle. So again, you can lean it over, you can not, you can place it up here, down there, or wherever, move it around. And all we're going to do is just move back and forward, okay? You had my ankle click there, that will happen, no dramas. And we're just trying to trying to get that ankle to move as much as possible, okay? This is what you call flossing. So we've got the contract and relax, which is going to desensitize it. We've got the pressure wave, which is going to start hitting, getting some knots out there and just make things a little bit looser. And then we're just going to get some flossing in just to get a little bit of movement going, okay? Now, a good way to follow that up. So, we've freed out that area. Whenever you've done like a soft tissue mobilization, it's a good idea that you then follow that up with like something that works either the joint capsule or just really opens out the area, okay? So in this instance, what we're going to be doing is using what's called an ankle overpressure to try and just close the gap between your knee and your ankle. So we're pushing into there. You can do this without. You come into that end range position, you push there, you come out of it into there. So we're not just holding and pushing, we're moving in and out of the position, okay? And this is more, we will spend some time in static positions, but we move all the time, So again, add a little bit more weight, which is always helpful. You can push through there, come back, and it just helps push through any stiffness there. I mean, for years, I felt like, before I discovered this, I felt like this needed to click for about 2 years for some reason. I never could seem to just get my ankle moving. And I mean, I started doing this and one day it just cracked, and it's just felt really like it moves much smoother since. Like, maybe there was a problem in there. I'm not really good at going and getting things checked out and physios and stuff. I just sort of like get on with things, and hence why I started doing this. I just don't feel so broke. Occasionally I will pop in and see a physio if I've got like a bit of a problem like that I can't seem to sort out myself. So we're just pushing forward there. And I would just aim again around 60 seconds each side. It doesn't have to be anything mad. You do the calf, come onto there again, and just closing up that gap. And a good way to like test, did this have a good effect? I mean, the most simple way is before you start is just to come here, pull that back. You can see I've just done this ankle. I didn't do that one. You can see my toes are moving back further than that foot. So even just me showing you it, I didn't even do the full mobilization, has improved my ankle range in a couple of minutes. You imagine you do the full 2-3 minutes on the calf, a minute each side there, your ankle's going to move even more. So definitely worth a go. Give that a try. Leave a comment if there's any other areas that you want to see me work on. I'm pretty much just going to go through whatever feels isn't working that day or feels a bit tight. I'm just going to run with that and explain why I'm doing it. But if there's anything you want to see, just drop a comment and we'll go from there.